10 rarest Japanese muscle cars you've never seen before. Welcome back, car lovers. Today we're diving into the hidden vault of Japanese muscle, the kind of beasts that never made it to your neighborhood streets. These machines packed roaring engines, wild designs, and stories so rare even, hardcore collectors blink twice. From forgotten factory experiments to one-off legends that vanished after a single race, get ready to meet the Japanese muscle cars you've probably never seen before. 10. Mazda Cosmo 110S, 1967-1972. The Mazda Cosmo 110S was the car that proved Japan could dream big long before anyone expected it. At a time when most brands were copying Western ideas, Mazda built something that looked and sounded like it came from another planet. It was powered by a twin-rotor Wankel engine that revved smoother and higher than anything else on the road. The car's futuristic name fit its personality perfectly, with its long, sleek nose, spaceship curves, and cockpit-style interior that made drivers feel like test pilots. What makes the Cosmo so rare is how personal it was. Every unit was hand-built by a small team of Mazda engineers who treated each car like a work of art. The rotary engine's complex design made it expensive to produce and even harder to maintain, so very few ever left Japan. Mazda built just over 1,100 examples, each one hand-assembled by a small team of engineers who tuned every engine individually. The rotary motor was brilliant but delicate, and it required mechanics with specialized training that almost no one outside Mazda had. That made the car difficult to export, so only a handful ever left Japan. Even among collectors, finding a fully functional Cosmo is a challenge since many were lost to time or mechanical failure. Today, the Cosmo 110S stands as a quiet legend. It was the spark that ignited Mazda's obsession with rotary power and set the foundation for the RX-7 and RX-8 that followed. Spotting one now feels like finding a forgotten piece of the future that somehow slipped out of the past. 9. Toyota Supra TRD 3000 GT 1994-2002. The Toyota Supra TRD 3000 GT was the ultimate form of the A80 Supra, a road-going race car built by Toyota Racing Development for homologation purposes. It wasn't just a cosmetic upgrade. The 3000 GT featured a handcrafted wide-body kit for improved aerodynamics, a vented hood, and an aggressive rear wing designed straight from TRD's racing program. Underneath the sculpted body was the legendary 2JZ GTE twin-turbo inline-six, pushing out around 326 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque in factory trim, but easily capable of far more when tuned. The extra downforce and lighter body panels gave it sharper handling and a track-bred feel. On paper, it could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 4.7 seconds, putting it right beside the best European exotics of its time. Only about 35 cars were ever built, each hand-assembled and tuned for perfection. Most stayed in Japan, and finding one today is like discovering a hidden artifact from Toyota's golden era. The TRD 3000 GT wasn't just a Supra, it was the Supra Unleashed, a rare breed of Japanese muscle born from the racetrack and built for legends. 8. Nissan Sylvia CSP 311, 1964-1968. The Nissan Sylvia CSP 311 was the first car to wear the Sylvia name, and it remains one of the rarest Japanese production cars ever made. Only 554 examples were built between 1964 and 1968, all of them hand-assembled in small batches at Nissan's Apama plant. Designed under the influence of Albrecht Goertz, who also worked on the BMW 507, the CSP 311 combined clean European lines with Japanese craftsmanship at a time when Japan's car industry was still proving itself on the world stage. Its 1.6-liter inline-4 engine, coded R16, produced 96 horsepower and was paired with a 4-speed manual gearbox, enough to push the Sylvia to a top speed of around 100 miles per hour. It shared its mechanical base with the Datsun Fairlady Roadster, but wrapped it in a sleek coupe body made mostly of handcrafted steel panels. This process was time-consuming and expensive, which meant the Sylvia cost nearly double the average Japanese car of its era. Because of that high price and limited production capacity, the Sylvia never reached mass production. It was sold mainly to high-status buyers in Japan, with only a handful exported. Today, fewer than 200 units are believed to survive worldwide. Its rarity lies not just in its numbers, but in what it represented: the birth of Japanese design confidence, in the quiet beginning of a lineage that would later dominate drift circuits and tuner culture decades later. 7. Honda Integra Type R, DC2, 1995 to 2001. The Honda Integra Type R, DC2, was born from Honda's obsession with perfection. Powered by the hand-built B18C engine, it produced 197 horsepower at a screaming 8,000 RPM from just 1.8 liters. That gave it one of the highest specific outputs of any naturally aspirated four-cylinder of its era, about 110 horsepower per liter. Honda stripped it down to 1,080 kilograms in Japan and just over 1,170 in the US market, shaving weight wherever possible through thinner glass, reduced sound deadening, and lightweight aluminum components. The result was a car that handled like a precision instrument. It came with a close ratio 5-speed manual transmission, a limited slip differential, and suspension geometry so sharp it felt like an extension of the driver's body. In its time, the DC2 was often compared to far more powerful European rivals, yet it routinely outperformed them on twisty circuits. Honda's factory engineers blueprinted every engine by hand, ensuring no two units left the factory without perfect balance and matching tolerances. Production numbers were surprisingly low. Around 25,000 units were built globally, with fewer than 4,000 officially sold in the United States. Japan received the purest versions, while some regions like the UK got only a few hundred. Because many ended up in races or modified beyond repair, finding an unmolested DC2 Type R today is nearly impossible. Its rarity is not only in quantity, but in philosophy. A car built to prove that engineering precision could outperform brute horsepower. 6. Toyota 2000G TMF10, 1967 to 1970. The Toyota 2000 GT was Japan's first true supercar, and even today it looks like a sculpture in motion. Developed in partnership with Yamaha, the MF10 model used a 2.1-liter straight-six engine, producing 150 horsepower paired with a 5-speed manual transmission. It was capable of reaching 135 miles per hour, a figure that rivaled European icons like the Jaguar E-Type. The body was made from aluminum, the suspension was fully independent, and every part was hand-fitted with the precision of a musical instrument. Toyota built only 351 units during its entire production run, which immediately made it a collector's treasure. Most were sold in Japan, with fewer than 60 exported to the United States. Each car took roughly 2 weeks to assemble, and the cost was higher than a Porsche 911 at the time. Despite the price, it was never built to generate profit. Toyota used it as a statement piece to show that Japan could match Europe in design, craftsmanship, and performance. The car gained international fame when it appeared in the James Bond film You Only Live Twice, which featured 2 specially made roofless versions for Sean Connery's tall frame. Beyond Hollywood glamour, the 2000 GT was a technical masterpiece that changed the world's perception of Japanese cars. Its rarity is not just in production numbers, it marked the moment Japan stopped following and started leading in automotive art history. 5. Mazda RX500, 1970. The Mazda RX500 was less a car and more a glimpse into the future. Revealed at the 1970 Tokyo Motor Show, it was Mazda's radical vision of what high-speed travel could look like in the 21st century. The RX500 had a wedge-shaped body built entirely from lightweight fiberglass, weighing around 850 kilograms, and was powered by a mid-mounted 10A rotary engine, producing 247 horsepower. For a car of its size and time, that power-to-weight ratio was astonishing. It could reach a top speed of about 150 miles per hour in testing, putting it in supercar territory long before Japan was known for building them. What made it even stranger was its rear light panel system. Instead of simple brake lights, it featured color-coded signals that changed according to driving behavior. Green lights glowed during acceleration, yellow lights warned of deceleration, and red indicated braking. It was meant to make high-speed travel safer by helping following drivers predict a car's movement. The idea was futuristic, but regulators found it confusing and potentially dangerous on real roads. Mazda built only one prototype, making it one of the rarest concept cars ever created. It toured auto shows for years before vanishing into storage and was later restored in Japan decades later. The RX500 was never meant for production. Space-age aerodynamics and wild innovation turned into a legend. It stands as proof that sometimes Japan's most daring creations are the ones that never left the concept floor. 4. Kaira ZZ, 1995. The The Kaira ZZ was Japan's bold answer to the lightweight, driver-focused sports cars that defined Europe in the 1990s. Created by the boutique tuning house Kaira, renowned for transforming Nissans and Subarus into high-performance machines, the ZZ marked their ambitious leap into designing a car entirely from scratch. With its aluminum chassis, fiberglass body, and mid-engine layout, the ZZ embodied pure, unfiltered driving pleasure. It offered no power steering, no traction control, and no electronic assists, just an unrelenting connection between driver and machine. Every movement, from throttle to steering input, was raw and immediate, making it a true enthusiast dream. Powering the ZZ was Nissan's revered 2.2-liter SR20DE inline-4 engine, tuned to produce around 178 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers might seem modest, but in a car weighing just 700 kilograms, they translated into blistering performance. The ZZ could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, delivering its power through a slick 5-speed manual gearbox to the rear wheels. Its featherweight construction and balanced mid-engine setup gave it razor-sharp handling, while the free-revving SR20DE provided a thrilling soundtrack to match. The ZZ's production was cut short by Japan's economic downturn and tightening safety regulations, with fewer than 220 units produced. Yet its legacy endures, a testament to passion-driven engineering and the art of creating a car that's earth and soul. 3. Toyota Sera GT, prototype 1990s. The Toyota Sera GT was the wild alter ego of the cute and quirky Toyota Sera. The original Sera, famous for its butterfly doors and futuristic glass canopy, was more about style than speed. But in the 1990s, Toyota secretly experimented with a high-performance prototype that turned the gentle Sera into something that could scare sports cars twice its size. The Sera GT used a turbocharged 2.1-liter 3S GTE engine, borrowed from the Celica GT4, producing nearly 245 horsepower. Considering the base car weighed under 1,000 kilograms, the power jump turned it into a missile with butterfly wings. The project was designed by Toyota Technocrat, the same group responsible for the TRD, Toyota Racing Development, performance parts. It featured wider fenders, a reinforced chassis, upgraded suspension, and a full aerodynamic kit. The GT version could supposedly reach 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 5 seconds, which put it on par with Ferraris of its day. The problem was that Toyota had no category to put it in and no plan to mass produce it. The base Sera was already a niche car, and the GT version's cost would have tripled the price. Only one fully functional prototype was ever confirmed to exist, making it an ultra-rare piece of Toyota history. It represented the era when Toyota engineers built passion projects for fun rather than profit. The Sera GT remains one of those mythical machines that remind enthusiasts how close Toyota came to giving Japan a supercar with wings instead of doors. 2. Mitsuoka Orochi, 2006 to 2014. The Mitsuoka Orochi is one of Japan's strangest and most polarizing cars. When it debuted, people were divided between calling it a work of art and a rolling nightmare. Its design was inspired by the mythical 8-headed Japanese dragon, Orochi, and the car looked like something that slithered out of a dream. Every panel was sculpted with curves and openings that made it look alive, and no two people could agree whether it was beautiful. Underneath the wild body, the Orochi used a 3.3-liter V6 engine sourced from Toyota, producing 230 horsepower and paired with a 5-speed automatic. That wasn't particularly fast, especially for a car that looked like it could devour a racetrack, but speed was never the point. Mitsuoka built the Orochi as a piece of automotive art, hand-assembling each one in small batches. The interior was wrapped in hand-stitched leather, with custom color schemes for every buyer. Production averaged fewer than 20 cars per year, adding up to roughly 400 in total 8 years. The strangest part about the Orochi's rarity is that it wasn't rare because of performance or cost, but because it dared to look different. It defied every conventional design rule in Japanese automotive history. Some collectors adore it for that reason, calling it the boldest statement car ever made in Japan. The Orochi remains a legend not because of its power, but because it proved that Japan could build something unapologetically weird and still make people talk decades later. 1. Yamaha OX99-11, 1992. The Yamaha OX99-11 was what happened. when a motorcycle company decided to build a Formula One car you could drive on the street. In the early 1990s, Yamaha had been supplying F1 engines, and someone at the company had a daring idea to wrap that same technology in a carbon fiber body and sell it as a supercar. The result was the OX99-11, a mid-engine two-seater powered by a 3.5-liter V12 that revved to an unbelievable 10,000 RPM and produced around 400 horsepower. It was built on a full carbon monocoque chassis, weighed just 1,150 kilograms, and could reach a top speed close to 220 miles per hour. What made it even more fascinating was its setup. The driver sat in the center, like an F1 pilot, and the passenger sat directly behind. The car's butterfly doors and sculpted body made it look like something out of a science fiction film. Yamaha partnered with a British firm, IAD, but tensions between the two teams caused endless delays. Costs spiraled, and the global recession in Japan crushed any hope of production. Only 3 prototypes were completed before Yamaha shut the project down. The bizarre part is that it was fully functional and legal enough to drive, yet never released. Yamaha decided that the world simply wasn't ready for a car that screamed like a Formula One racer and cost more than a Ferrari F40. Today, those 3 cars are some of the rarest and most technically ambitious machines Japan ever produced. Proof that Yamaha once tried to beat the world's best at their own game. And that's our pit stop for today. Japan's rarest machines were never meant to play it safe. They were built by dreamers who thought rules were just suggestions and blueprints were starting points. From rotary rockets to cars that looked half alien, each one proved that madness and genius often share the same garage. If that kind of chaos excites you, subscribe and stay tuned, because the next lineup is already warming up.